Aloha, welcome back to Aina Bear Farm. So we're finally going to do our 2-year epic tour of our food forest. So we've been here on the big island of Hawaii for a little over 2 years. We have a 4-acre property, and about 3 of those acres was previously pasture land that we wanted to convert to a food forest. A mixture of fruit trees from all over the world, as well as native and endemic plants to Hawaii, as part of our restorative agriculture to restore the land, provide habitat for native species, and just a thriving, healthy ecosystem without having to do too much inputs. It's been an amazing 2 years. Definitely learned a lot, had a lot of help from people here on the Big Island that I'm very grateful to. So the video is going to be a little long today. I'm going to walk you around and just kind of blur through a lot of the things, because if I stopped to talk for a while about everything, it would seriously be hours. But if you have any questions about anything in particular on the tour, or you'd like me to go more in depth about any specific design, plan, structure, plant, guild, whatever, just throw it in the comments section, and that'll kind of help me to know what would be some good videos to make in the future. If you watch all the way to the end, we've got some nice footage from the air, some drone footage that our friend Jay shot for us, so mahalo to Jay. So stick around to the end to see that, and it's really cool because you'll be able to see the contours of the land from the paths, and just kind of see the overall layout of what we're working with here. So mahalo for following along. Thanks to you all out there on YouTube for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely do that. We are constantly trying to produce new videos to just help people, whether you're in the tropics or in temperate regions, to learn a bit more about permaculture, and to get feedback from you all about things that have worked and things that haven't worked. So here we go. Let's start the tour. All right, so we'll start right here at kind of the entrance to the food forest, the main entrance. And keeping in mind that when we came out here, this was just a solid wall of about 7 foot tall guinea grass, which is a very thick, gnarly pasture grass. So for all these paths, trails, we had to dig that out by hand using a matic axe. We don't use a lot of machinery here, just one gas-powered trimmer with a blade attachment to cut the grass around the trees as we go. And so some of the methods we've used is to try to find plants like this coleus, where you can take cuttings and just stick them in the ground. They will reroot to crowd out some of the grass so that it doesn't just come right back. Next to that, we've got yarrow. It's another one that spreads. We've got the herbaceous Tithonia Mexican sunflower. We also have the woodier version that we use as a windscreen that we'll show. Of course, plants like comfrey. Down further, we've got turmeric surrounded by perennial peanut, which is a ground cover we're trying to get established. Nice nitrogen fixer. And then our fruit trees. So this is a Satsuma tangerine. And if you haven't seen our video where we cut down a whole bunch of older trees on the property, we're able to put these wood rings around a lot of our trees so far to provide carbon and just kind of hold in all of the mulch material that we collect. And so as you can see, just right in this area, we've got kalo or taro. We've got this red la'i. We've got the coleus, the perennial peanut. Here's katuk, an edible green leaf vegetable. We've got gliricidia that we grew from cuttings. Understory of that, we've got ginger down in here. So just so much diversity in a spot. This is mamaki, an endemic nettle that makes excellent healthy tea. So much diversity in such a small area where there used to only be pasture grass. As we head down the path, you can see some areas we've cleared. We've got belly Tongan spinach. That's another one we can grow from cuttings, so we're looking forward to propagating a lot more of that and really spreading it. Got a lot of this sun hemp. That's another great, crowds out grasses and other weeds. Pigeon pea, of course. Hiding in this mess is roselle. We've got a couple of those. I hope to make some roselle tea this fall. As we pan back this way, you can see support species like ice cream bean. This was grown from seed and already getting up to a nice height out here. And back up a tad, we passed over a jaboticaba. Very happy, kind of nestled in this African blue basil, which just gets covered in bees and I think protects it, the jaboticaba, from getting chewed on as much by beetles. This orange tithonia just kind of reseeds itself all over. I like plants that do that as well. We got plenty of bananas in as sport species, shade, biomass, just for chop and drop, that sort of thing. Right here we've got another ground cover in the Cuban oregano, these great flower spikes. Another jaboticaba hiding in there. That's a great ground cover, doubles as an herb. Black cane sugar, loving it. This was a grafted avocado, a kahalu, that we put in. Looking very happy. And here's an example of, if I can get my shadow kind of out of the picture, where we've cut away the path, bermed it up a little bit on the downhill side, and then we put these sweet potatoes in there. This was an area, a little hard to see in the shade, but we had a whole video on digging this area out a couple months back, where we planted pigeon pea as kind of a ground cover, and in there some turmeric, and then also some kalo or taro. We've got some watermelon, which has a little melon on it there, about that size. And as we go down, got the African blue basil crowding out things nicely, some coleus, and then hiding up in here is a pomegranate. So again, we took a space that was just grass a few months back and converted it to a lot of different species, things that are pumping nitrogen into the ground, biomass, chop and drop, kind of changing over to a fungal dominant ecosystem. Little mac nut with its tree stump circle around it. Here we've got namwa bananas in a kind of a banana circle with a more of a wild bean ground cover around that. Here's our largest Rollinia, which has got to be 12, 13 feet tall, and is loaded with flowers now, so we'll see. It's flowered once before, but not yet fruited. Maybe this will be the time. Downhill, the Mexican sunflower, that's the woodier Tithonia diversifolia. That makes a really good windscreen. And then we're getting ready to put in jack beans all along here, again, to crowd out the grass, provide something a little bit more useful to us than the grass. More pigeon pea there. The black sapote, the chocolate pudding fruit. Pretty happy. This is a dwarf Zeman pink jackfruit. It's had some flowers on it. I don't know if that'll hold or not. The others have dropped off. In this area, we haven't planted any trees in it. We have this kind of clearing down to maintain the ocean view and part of this. But then we also cut all the skinny grass for mulch. So that's the source of a lot of our mulch. Make compost piles with that. And then on the other side of the clearing, we start planting trees again. This is kind of like our zone 3 area. So you get a little further out from the house. So out here, we've planted a lot of support species. We have a loquat here, a couple other fruit trees, bananas, but a lot of ice cream bean, gliricidia, things like that that are gonna help to support our trees as they grow. Here's our big Ma'afala ulu. Can't wait for that to start producing nice starchy fruits. Potato on a tree. Up in this area, we've got other things, Rolinias, little Rolinias, Gliricidias, bananas, rambutans, nothing too exciting. It's kind of a repeat of some of the patterns that we use here. This is a meringue. It's from Joe Hewitt. Looking pretty happy, putting on new growth. Definitely excited about that. And as we get to here, start to head over into zones 4 and 5. You can see there's a little white electric fence here. So just past the electric fence, we have a neighbor who keeps his horses over in this section. It's about an acre all the way down to this tree line here, and then all the way back up the hill. That eventually will be like our zones 4 and 5. We'll let it rewild, but it's full of invasive things right now, including the guinea grass, silk oak trees, nothing much else growing back there. So we want to come in and put some things like koa, and then some useful things like bamboo, and a few other native ohias, things that will turn it back to a more native wild area. A little soursop here, ice cream bean. As we go up the hill, this is a Casteri mango, Southeast Asian variety that does better in a wet climate. It's been very wet here lately, so I think it must be enjoying that. Up this side, we have put in some chirimoya. So I don't know if we'll get enough chill hours for fruit here, but very pretty trees. We're happy to have them. Little abiyu. This one's really struggled, but I think it's finally starting to establish itself. It's got a nice windbreak with this tithonia. I think that's been one of the major issues with it. So we'll see. So here we use palm fronds to shade some of our little more fragile trees. There's a green kaimito, the star apple in there. Larger ice cream bean up the hill there. And a white sapote up here. This is definitely one of my favorite fruits. Just tastes like best, juiciest, sweetest pear. That's putting out a lot of nice new growth. So that's the red flush that's coming out there. Did put flowers on this year, but did not hang on to any of them for fruit. I didn't expect it to, so that's okay. And this is that nice vista where you can see this is pretty much fully planted out with fruit trees in this whole section. We're just going back, putting in support species and filling in the gaps, adding diversity. The little puakini, a nice fragrant flowering tree. This was one of the first trees we planted on our property, a Raposa mango, which when we planted it was that tall, so 2 years. Haven't done much pruning on this one. I wanted to kind of let this one go a little bit as a shade tree. So we'll see how it comes together. I'm hoping maybe it'll flower next year. See how it goes. Let's see, along this way, we've got some interesting stuff. There's a little variegated ohia down there. Very pretty when it gets big. A little lychee hiding in this sun hemp circle down there that we did from a cutting. The air layer. All over we've got little bananas like this. Up the hill here in this sun hemp, which I need to trim back. It's a langsat or lanzoni. It's also from Joe Hewitt. Need to open it up a little bit so some more sun. Wild mac nut. See what we get with that. We may graft onto it. And just to kind of show you guys more of these support species. This is a Sesbania sesbens. So we've got these in all over the place. Really fast growing nitrogen fixing tree. And viracaju, this is a rare tree outside of Brazil that is putting on new growth now. So excited about that. Sure sign that it's happy. We've got a chaicharu hanging in here. So things are doing well. We just need a little bit more shade, and we're working on it with all these support species. This is a soursop we grew from seed. 2 years from seed, and check this out. And we got our first fruit on there. It can be done. Let's see here. We've done a simple yellow pineapple line along our path with just some cardboard. Just a nice lazy permaculture planting. Long gone from seed. That blue basil again. Down in here, so this was a gliricidia we grew from seed, specifically to provide some shade for mangosteen, which is this guy putting on new leaves. We're so excited. One of my all-time favorite fruits. And at upwards of $15 a pound. Not a bad commercial crop if you can produce enough of it. Here's a big tithonia. That kind of shows you the girth these things can get as a windbreak. Come around to the other side, get a better idea. So, yeah, 7, 8 feet tall, nice widespread. And you just cut it to the ground, feed that material to your trees. Really good source of nitrogen, actually. And then it grows right back. Here we've dug a very large pit to do some more burning for biochar. Hoping to do that soon. Things dry out a little bit. A little papaya grove here. Not the most productive papaya trees, but that one's loaded. But they're doing okay. We just fed them again. Hopefully that will help us push some more fruits. This was a monkey pod that we're now kind of in the shade of, where we've stuck in some turmeric. I love turmeric. Eating it, growing it. It's just a great plant. And this monkey pod, growing very fast. One of the few trees out here that we can actually sit under now after 2 years. All right, and this kind of brings us back around to where we started. And then we can loop down the hill, or we kind of zigzag our way through here. Some more turmeric, perennial peanut. It's a big banana circle. Plenty of banana racks around. Nice size one here. Yummy. This is the camellia tea, the Chinese tea. Down here, now this is a ice cream bean that we got as a seedling, but that's another tree that we can now enjoy its shade. And then we planted a Grumichama Brazilian cherry in the shade of that. And what's great is it just collects all this mulch leaf and then just feeds it away. It's almost carefree at that point. You have kabocha squash that runs all over, yacon. This is an ají dulce, a perennial pepper that I think is from Peru. It's a sweet pepper. Some huge wall of pigeon pea. Another massive African blue basil. A long on, this was a grafted long on. The BOQ. Be hoping for fruit next year. Getting decent size. A little pomegranate, that's the wonderful variety. Again, more bananas, more tithonia. There's plenty of biomass. Black sapote. This one gets chewed on so much. Stunted its growth a little bit. It'll come back though. This is a ma'ohauhele. It's a native yellow hibiscus. It's the state flower. It's really nice and big. Oh, here's our purple kaimito. Haitian kaimito. Star apple. These beautiful golden undersides to the leaves. Sitting in the protection of this tithonia again, and then a little sweet potato ground cover. Here's that similar pattern: coleus, sun hemp, pigeon pea, tithonia, to another Rollinia, and that carbon circle with the wood stumps. This area we've left open for an upper pond and a lower pond with a little falls. Hopefully next summer, that'll be a project for next summer. Hopefully I won't be making this video next summer saying hopefully next summer every year. You guys will start teasing me, but noni, really important medicinal fruit with one of the most god-awful tastes and smells, just like dirty feet cheese. But very interesting medicinal properties. Check that out. It grows pretty well in a variety of places if you have warm weather. So as we head back out this way, you can see the lower part of this zone 3 spot that we cut. And all along, little support species. This is a mamane, a native nitrogen fixing tree. We're hoping will establish itself. And then tiny little things out here, like this is a Gliricidia from seed. Once they get going though, whew, take off. Up here we've got a peach palm. We got a few of those on the property. It's an interesting fruit. It's also supposed to be very good for you. Wild thorns on those things though, so you don't want to plant them near the path. This is the heirloom Hawaiian ulu, or the breadfruit. Got a nice, interesting leaf pattern. Another ice cream bean. Here we've got a wall of pigeon pea that is protecting a very young chompidac in the Artocarpus family, the breadfruit and the jackfruit and stuff. So it's looking really good in the shade there, putting on a lot of nice growth. And just let it outgrow the pigeon pea. And it should be good. Down this way, we've got a little Rollinia here. It's grown from seed. More bananas. We have quite a few different varieties of bananas. This is a sunburst jackfruit. So that will get very big. It's really heavy fruit. So again, you kind of put it off of the path by several feet. So it's not like you'd be constantly walking under jackfruit that can crush you with its bounty at any moment. Soursop there. And so here you can see the guinea grass in its untouched form. So this is what we're dealing with. So we basically take this chunk by chunk, carve out pieces, and then eventually just clearing out the lot of it, placing it with other things that we find to be more desirable. This is great stuff if you have livestock. You'll eat it to the ground. This is the cool plant here. This is Willy Willy, a native nitrogen fixing tree. It's got thorns on it when it's little. It loses its thorns as it gets bigger, and just has a really funky shape to it. It's a very interesting looking tree. I like it. Here we're crossing back over that midpoint. It's just the open grass that we use for mulching. This gets cut maybe 3 times a year. Kind of let it get a little more firm. That way it lasts longer as a mulch. Produces more of that silica and won't break down as fast. This is Ma'o, a Hawaiian cotton. I don't see any that's like fully ready, but you can see the bud there that will open up with the cotton in a few weeks. I've been harvesting some of that. So not just fruit trees, but all kinds of productive things. The Malabar chestnut, kind of an underutilized food tree in this area and parts of the world. It's well known. a little white sapote, big tithonia guarding that. And then here's our biggest cherimoya so far. This one has really taken to this spot, shot up a few feet just in the last few months. So again, not sure if it'll fruit, but it's beautiful. I can live with that. A banana. So we've got enough space here to experiment with things like that and not be like so dependent on having everything to have to produce perfectly right out of the gate. This is a Mapulehu variety of mango, also put in very early. I have been pruning this one to kind of keep the middle open. I'm anticipating once it starts to fruit, it'll kind of weigh these branches out and open up that middle even more, but we're just taking out a lot of the branches that kind of grow back towards the center. And that'll be common for a lot of our mango trees. More bananas. Another sour sop down there. The Gliricidia from cutting. It's doing really well. We have a few that did really well from cuttings, but most of them died. Our biggest mac nut. Nice healthy comfrey there. This is the 344 variety, which I actually don't know much about, except that it allegedly grows very well in this area and produces lots of good sized nuts. Maybe that's all you need to know. I know this area you may have seen in previous videos is an area we want to use for more crops, which we just haven't had time to really get on top of, so we're just letting the grass stay there for now. This is a Namdok Mai mango variety. Hoping this will be a winner for this area and we'll produce quite a few, or grow quite a few of those trees. Alright, we've got some cassava. This is the only cassava we have. I'd like to get more varieties. It's got this cool, like, really thin leafed, I think it's a yellow root cassava of some type. You know, you should be able to propagate those pretty well once it gets going. There's a mame sapote. Gets chewed on, but always comes back with new growth. So you can see like the new happy growth down there. Meyer lemon. There's one fruit up on the top there. Gotta have Meyer lemon. Very useful. Alright, another Erlinia. It's getting to be decent size down this way. A couple of artichokes. We put in quite a few of these, but most of them haven't done as well. These ones are happy. Jabuticaba in there. Most of the Jabuticaba here is a Myrta variety, but we're trying to branch out. I have a yellow Jabuticaba that I missed, but that's actually a pretty exciting variety we got from Joe Hewitt. This is a Groff lychee. Put in pretty recently. It's just being sheltered in there in the sun hemp. This big banana patch down this way. This area is one of the only areas on our property that forms kind of a bowl. So this is probably the wettest area. The grass grows much faster down here. So we were putting things down here like ginger. This is elderberry, a nice homage to our previous farm in Maryland, Elderberry Farm. Monkey paw, peach palm, sour sop. These do really well down here as long as they don't mind having some extra water. This is a beach sugar apple, another plant from Joe Hewitt. Not that common outside of Brazil and in the Annona family. But they got a lot of new growth. Looks very happy. And then right in this area you can see it's super dark in there, but that's another one of those mangosteen protected areas with that big Gliricidia. That Gliricidia was grown from seed a year and a half ago. It's already 12 feet tall. Just amazing. And the mangosteen is really happy in the shade down there. There's a Malabar chestnut down in here, another one of those. The Gliricidia from cutting, it's doing well. The loquat, we've got a couple different varieties of loquat. This is the golden nugget. We also have a mammoth here. Here's our kalo patch. You've seen in our most recent video, you're harvesting and propagating the kalo. A few different varieties in there. And then just past the kalo, you can see that crop area again that we'll be digging out a lot more paths, which I'll show you a little bit of in just a moment. This grass, it can be a headache sometimes, but it is so useful as a resource. Just mulch, endless mulch. A lot of people have a hard time getting hold of straw. We've got all the straw we could ever need. This is a Tahitian breadfruit. Very happy. And then we have a few other plants out this way. We have another variety of avocado, some ice cream bean, white sapote. We have a native Hawaiian plant. The name is skipping my brain for a minute. The candle nut, kukui. There you go, kukui. Out that way. Okay. A little hard to tell because it is super weedy right now, but we have two crop rows here that we hope to continue down and up. And this is irrigated white pineapple and moringa. I've been loving the moringa. And then on this side, we've got some different basils, some different varieties of sweet potatoes, some fennel here, which we mostly feed to our rabbits, but we enjoy it too. A lot of these white pineapples will fruit next year, but we did get a couple of fruits this year that were so tasty, and then that'll be our last one of the season. Should be ripening up in the next few days. And this moringa, you know, we just take off chunks at the top, and the trunk gets woodier, but then they send out all these little side shoots, so you get on and on and on. Fantastic green. Here's holy basil mixed in with the sweet potato. And looping back around here, we had another variety of mango back there, the Kerry mango. Kind of passed over. But this is a future development area where I actually want to put in a lot of ashwagandha. Use as an herbal tonic. And here I hopefully have rescued this green or black pepper plant. It's a vine that just wasn't really doing that well. Australian finger lime here hasn't flowered yet, but I'm thinking this year's got to be the year. It's pretty good size. And a star fruit, a kari kari. Suriname cherry. Got a koa tree there. This koa, we planted it just as a place to kind of put it somewhere, and it took off. So now I feel compelled to leave it there, even though it's probably not the best spot. Yellow lily koi along the fence line there. Over here we've got loofah growing up this trellis. We're trying it as a summer squash kind of zucchini substitute. Pretty much impossible to grow zucchini here. Too much bug pressure. Got chayote climbing up this trellis, but I don't know, it hasn't really done that well. It's a vine squash. I'm probably gonna switch over to something else, maybe lily koi or, who knows, a bean or something. More turmeric. There's our big ice cream bean. Lots of turmeric, lots of coleus. And this kind of brings us back to our starting point. So that concludes our epic tour of our 2-year-old food forest. Hopefully that wasn't too long. You enjoyed that. Again, let me know if you want to see anything in more detail in the comments. That will really help me. And if you have any suggestions or questions, I'll be happy to get back to you. So enjoy this aerial footage shot by our friend Jay. Again, thanks to Jay. Thanks to Joe Hewitt for a lot of these amazing plants, and thank you, Jay, for all the native Hawaiian plants. He brought me a lot more yesterday that I'm going to need to get in the ground this winter. Looking forward to that. And stay tuned for updates. We do seasonal updates, quick tours of the food forest, not this long, and then updates on all of our little projects. So stay in touch, and we'll see you back here next time at Aina Bear Farm. Aloha.